As I'm sure most of you are aware, a special force is a military unit trained to conduct special operations. Special operations are defined by NATO as military activities conducted by specially designated, organized, trained, and equipped forces who are manned with selected personnel using unconventional tactics, techniques, and modes of employment. Roughly translated, this means that they equip the toughest guys with the best weapons to rain unusual flavors of terror upon some unfortunate, although deserving, enemies. Special forces initially emerged in the early 20th century. In particular, the field of special forces and operations grew substantially during the Second World War, with every major army involved creating their own units devoted to special operations behind enemy lines. Ever since this period, the methods, training and equipment used by special forces around the world has developed and improved. Today, we're going to be looking at what special forces are considered to be the most powerful and dangerous in the world, and what ones strike the most fear in the hearts of the enemies that they come up against. Welcome to the 5 most elite special forces in the world. Number 5. The Shayetet 13. Shayetet 13 is a unit of the Israeli Navy that are trained for sea, air and land actions. It is one of the primary special operations units of the Israel Defense Forces and has taken part in almost all of Israel's major wars. Shayetet 13 specializes in sea-to-land incursions, counter-terrorism, intelligence gathering, and hostage rescue. Unlike any other Israeli Special Forces units, where mandatory service is only 36 months long, Shayetet 13 members must agree to be part of the service for at least 4.5 years. During their training, cadets extensively practice Krav Maga, Israel's national martial art. Even after their introduction into active service, Shayetet 13 commandos continue to take part in training exercises and have been known to participate in cross-training with foreign special forces units, such as the US Navy SEALs. The unit's motto is, "As the bat emerges from the darkness, as the blade cuts through with silence, as the grenade smashes in rage." How romantic. While many of the Shayetet 13's missions are classified, some activities of the unit have been revealed over the years. In one example, Ziv Almog, the former commander of the unit, remarked that during his time with the unit, they successfully raided 23 ships and sunk an additional 7. He did not elaborate further. Some of the weaponry used by the commandos include the M4, the M203 grenade launcher, the Uzi 9mm, the Negev MG, the SR-25 sniper, and Glock handguns. Although I've never really subscribed to the idea of 13 being an unlucky number, I'm sure I'd change my stance on the matter if I was getting my bollocks kicked off by this lot. Number 4. The Indian Marcos. The Indian Marcos, short for Marine Commandos, are the Special Forces unit of the Indian Navy. This unit focuses on conducting amphibious warfare, close-quarter combat, counter-terrorism, and hostage rescue. The Marcos are widely feared among terrorists and have acquired the name the Bearded Army because of the bearded disguise they typically adopt when in civil areas. In the 3 decades that the Marcos have existed, the force has gained a reputation for professionalism. The total duration of training of Marcos lasts roughly 3 years. This includes basic training, rigorous physical tests, learning to use different types of weapons, special warfare techniques, and how to gather intelligence from the enemy. The cadets are trained in every aspect of modern warfare and in every situation that might crop up. This includes learning to fire weapons whilst running full sprint, firing weapons running backwards, and even firing weapons while looking into mirrors. Marcos are trained in various types of close combat, including Krav Maga, which we mentioned earlier. A notably rigorous training program is the Death Crawl. This involves an 800-meter struggle through thigh-high mud while wearing 25 kilograms of gear. This is followed immediately by a 2.5-kilometer obstacle course. After this, the exhausted and sleep-deprived trainees undergo the final test, shooting a target 25 meters away with a partner standing next to it. Some of the weapons used by the Marcos include the Beretta 95 FS, the Seiko Tika sniper, the SAF carbine, and the MP5A3. Number 3. Russia's Alpha Group. Alpha Group is an elite standalone subunit of Russia's special forces. It is a dedicated counter-terrorism task force of the Russian Federal Security Service and was created by the Soviet KGB in 1974. During the invasion of Afghanistan, Alpha Group acquired quite a reputation. During the invasion, Alpha Group stormed the presidential palace in Kabul and killed everyone in the building. In 1985, Alpha Group's reputation was further solidified when they were dispatched to Beirut in an effort to rescue 4 Soviet diplomats. When the diplomats were killed by the hostage takers, Alpha Group allegedly hunted down relatives of the hostage takers and killed them before sending them back to them. It is rumored that the family members were not returned in one piece. Domestically, Alpha has been involved in most of the major anti-terrorist and hostage operations that have taken place in Russia. These include the Moscow theatre siege of 2002 and the Beslan school siege in 2004. Both events demonstrated the rather heavy-handed nature of the Russian special forces, as hundreds of hostages were killed during the operations. The fact that they are willing to kill hostages to get the terrorists really highlight how brutal this group are. The weapons used by this group include the SR-1M, the AN-94, the AKS-74U, the AK-74M, and the Dragunov SVU. I think we can all agree that Russians are known for being a bit spooky and maybe a bit mental, but these guys take that reputation to a whole new level. Number 2. The US Navy SEALs. This is the one I imagine a lot of you have been waiting for. The Sea, Air and Land teams, or as you probably know them better, the Navy SEALs, are the US Navy's primary special operations force. The Navy SEALs are without a doubt one of the most legendary forces in the world, and for good reasons too. The Navy SEALs were behind what was arguably the most famous special force operation ever conducted. In the early morning of May 1st, 2011, a team of 40 Navy SEALs from SEAL Team 6 descended on a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, and killed Osama bin Laden. The unprecedented media coverage surrounding this operation raised the public profile of the SEAL community, particularly the counter-terrorism specialists, commonly known as SEAL Team 6. Training for the Navy SEALs takes over a year, and most applicants can't even get past the physical qualification test. This involves a bollock-aching buffet of swimming, push-ups, sit-ups, and running, which are all to be accomplished in a very strict time limit. Get past that test and you enter general training. Pass that and you move on to SEAL qualification training, which opens the door to specialized training. All of this ensures that SEAL members are physically and mentally as tough as nails and capable of undertaking the most difficult operations in the world, wherever that may be. Weapons used by the Navy SEALs include the HK Mark 23 SOCOM, the M4A1, the Barrett M82A1, the HK MP5N, and the FN M240. Number 1. The British SAS. At number 1, we have the British Special Air Service, or as they're more commonly known, the SAS. That's right. Aside from enjoying tea, crumpets and Mary Poppins, us British have some bloody good special forces. I'm not just being biased here either. They top the list of every special forces ranking I checked when researching for this video. If you want to argue about it, bring it up with Captain Price and Soap McTavish. The SAS was originally formed in 1941 as a commando force which would operate behind enemy lines during the Second World War. Today, the SAS comprises of 3 units, one regular unit known as 22 SAS Regiment, and 2 reserve units known as the 21 and the 23 regiments. The 22 SAS Regiment typically has around 400 to 600 troops, which are split into 4 squadrons made up of troops who possess unique and specialist skills. The squadrons are the Boat Troop, which is made up of men who specialize in maritime skills, the Air Troop, which is made up of specialists in free-falling and high-altitude parachuting operations, the Mobility Troop, which is made up of vehicle and desert warfare specialists, and the Mountain Troop, which is made up of men who are specialists in Arctic combat and survival. The SAS do not recruit from the general public. Instead, members are typically troops who have previous commando or airborne force experience. Upon arrival to selection, candidates complete a personal fitness test and an annual fitness test. They then march cross-country against the clock. This march is 40 miles long and is done with full equipment. During this march, troops are required to scale and descend Pen y Fan in 20 hours. By the end of this hill phase, candidates must be able to run 4 miles in 30 minutes and swim 2 miles in 90 minutes or less. Following this phase, candidates tackle the jungle phase, which takes place in Belize, Brunei, or Malaysia. There, the candidates are taught navigation, patrol formation, and jungle survival skills. They then return to Hereford to finish training in battle plans and foreign weapons. They also take part in combat survival exercises, which involves a week-long escape and evasion scenario. Here, the candidates are formed into patrols and, carrying nothing more than a tin can filled with survival equipment and dressed in old Second World War uniforms, are told to head to a point by first light. The final selection test is arguably the most grueling and involves candidates trying to resist interrogation for 36 hours. From the approximately 200 starting candidates, only 30 will usually remain until the end. Those who complete all phases of selection are rewarded with a transfer to an operational squadron. Perhaps the most famous operation conducted by the SAS was the Iranian embassy siege. After a group of 6 armed men stormed the Iranian embassy in London, the gunmen took 26 people hostage. The gunmen were members of the Iranian Arab group who were campaigning for Arab national sovereignty in the southern region of Khuzestan province. They demanded the release of Arab prisoners from prison in Khuzestan and their own safe passage out of the United Kingdom. Margaret Thatcher's government quickly resolved that a safe passage would not be granted, and a siege ensued. Over the following days, police negotiators secured the release of 5 hostages in exchange for minor concessions, such as the broadcasting of the hostage-takers' demands on British television. By the 6th day of the siege, the gunmen had become increasingly frustrated at the lack of progress in meeting their demands. That evening, they killed one of the hostages and threw his body out of the embassy. As a result, the government ordered the SAS to conduct an assault, Operation Nimrod, to rescue the remaining hostages. Shortly afterwards, while being broadcast live on television, SAS soldiers abseiled from the roof of the building and forced entry through the windows. During the 17-minute raid, they rescued all but one of the remaining hostages and killed 5 of the 6 hostage takers. The soldiers later faced accusations of unnecessarily killing 2 of the 5, but an inquest into the deaths eventually cleared the SAS of any wrongdoing. The sole remaining gunman was prosecuted and served 27 years in British prisons. Weapons used by the SAS include the C8 carbine, the M16, the G3, the HK G36, the HK MP5, the Remington 870, and the L96A1. Now you know about the SAS, I hope you all think twice about making fun of our British teeth in the future. Those were the 5 most elite special forces in the world. Because there is so much information about these special forces, I will include the full Wikipedia articles for these forces in the description. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.